magandang araw, maayong adlaw. You guys are maybe confused of what kind of language or dialect I am speaking to you right now, don't you? Well, before that, I am Kinjal Lumonek and today I will be answering the four questions about the languages of the Philippines. Why is the Philippines considered a multilingual nation? 2. What are the major languages in the Philippines? 3. What are the current linguistic situation of the Philippines? And lastly, what are the challenges and opportunities of having multilingual language and multi-dialect in the Philippines? To answer why is the Philippines considered a multilingual nation is because in the Philippines, a total of 100 to 200 languages are spoken by 105 million people. The national language is Filipino, a standardized register of the Tagalog language, the language of the dominant ethnic group. The Tagalog since the late 16th century and is spoken mainly in southern Luzon, where the national capital, Manila, is located. Many of the major local languages are Cebuano, Ilocano, Pangasinan, Waray, Hiligaynon, and etc. Cebuano, not Tagalog, is the most widely spoken language in the Philippines with 35 million speakers compared to Tagalog with 25 million speakers. Despite having 170 languages, all of them are closely related and all fall within the same Filipino branch of the larger Austronesian language family, spoken all over the Indo-Pacific. The two dominant local languages, Cebuano and Tagalog, are each other's closest relatives, with the remainder of the Visayan languages most likely being offshoot of Middle Cebuano, many only becoming their own separate language in the past 900 years, thanks to the influence of the Kingdom of Cebu during medieval times. The only exception is Chavacano, which is a dialect of the Spanish language which is spoken almost entirely in western and southern Mindanao. Only 3% of the Filipinos speak Spanish, a Romance language, despite 333 years of Spanish rule in the Philippines, but thanks to the constant war with the United States in the first half of the 20th century. A major of modern Filipinos speak the language English, a Germanic language. There is also the Chinese language, which is spoken by the Chinese community in the urban cities, as well as an increasing Korean presence thanks to the influx of South Korean expats and immigrants in the past 3 decades. In the southern regions, Malay is spoken as a trade language. That is because of the influence of Islam and the fact that Malay has been used as a lingua franca in Austronesia for centuries. These days, Malay is starting to be taught in school and universities. Number 2. What are the major languages of the Philippines? The Philippines has 8 major dialects listed in the figure from top to bottom: Bicol, Cebuano, Hiligaynon, Ilonggo, Ilocano, Kapampangan, Pangasinan, Tagalog, and Waray. The language being taught all over the Philippines is Tagalog and English. The Cebuano dialect originated in Cebu, which is in the Visayas. However, it spread to neighboring islands and into northern and eastern parts of Mindanao. This was probably facilitated by the American and Spanish policies to Christianize Mindanao. Meanwhile, in the Tagalog and Bicol dialect, Bicolandia or Bicolandia, boundaries seem to remain predominantly they were centuries ago. This map only shows that the dialect majority in each region. Actually, southern Mindanao is popular with Ilocano, Tagalog, and other dialects, but Cebuano has become the dominant dialect in the area. The Ilocano dialect has spread out from its origin in the western coast, Ilocania, which was also probably facilitated by Spanish and American policies. Other information on the Philippines is in extensive information about the Philippines and the Philippine region. Number 3. What are the current linguistic situation of the Philippines? The Philippines is a country rich in languages, more than 100 distinct languages. Linguists note that there are large differences among the languages and they may be grouped into languages. Family include a northern group including Ilocano, Pangasinan, and Kapampangan, and a central group including Tagalog, Bicol, Hiligaynon, and Cebuano. The linguistic diversity of the Philippines arises from natural processes broadly relating to language change. The divergence between linguistic community caused by lack of communication and a converse convergence caused by a high rate of communication between communities. The people of the Philippines are experiencing a period of language convergence marked by high levels of borrowing from large languages such as English, Tagalog, as well as from regionally important languages. In this process, for better or worse. Number 4. What are the challenges and opportunities of having multi-languages and multi-dialects in the Philippines? The challenges of having multi-language and multi-dialectal in the Philippines is the problem of regionalism, where each person who speaks a specific dialect tend to put themselves into a box where they will just interact with the people of the same dialect where they can understand. There are some Filipino who can speak 3 languages like Cebuano, Tagalog, and English. The only people who had a big challenge are the Tagalog-speaking people because their only dialect is Tagalog and English and cannot understand other dialects. Then when they try to speak them on the other places, people tend to ridicule them and discriminate them. Most Filipinos speak 3 languages, their mother tongue, Tagalog, and English. It is not uncommon for a Filipino to know even more than 3 languages. For example, many Waray people can speak Waray, Cebuano, Tagalog, and English. Cancanese, no Concanay, English, Tagalog, Ilocano, and often another Cordilleran language are Tausug. In Zamboanga City could understand Bahasa, Sug, Chavacano, Tagalog, Cebuano, and English. This language versatility shows the genius of Filipino and it is something to be proud of. That's one of the reasons why we should be celebrating August as a buwan ng wika, month of Philippine languages, instead of buwan ng wika. The benefits. Knowing multiple languages has numerous benefits. The scholar Francois Green divides the benefits of multilingualism into 4 categories. Private market value, private non-market value, social market value, social non-market value. These terms are a bit clunky, but to put it more simply, private refers to those qualities of multilingualism that benefit the individual. Social benefits are those for society as a whole. If you know many languages, you are likely to have access to a wider choice of job. If a company in Illinois were comparing 2 similar candidates for a job, the person who spoke more languages, for example, Hiligaynon, English, Tagalog, would probably get picked over some who only knew 1 or 2 languages because he would be able to interact with a wider range of clients in their preferred language. Multilingualism offers easier access to information. The more languages you know, the more likely you are able to comprehend different information sources, whether that be a local radio drama, a tsunami warning, a street fight, a question from a stranger, a scientific journal, or the 2 attractive people gossiping about you at a cafe. You have a greater access to cultural output too, which fosters knowledge, tolerance, and appreciation of different cultures. Long-term policies like the exclusion of native languages in the most level of education trend are multilingualism. The Tagalog people don't have much opportunity to learn other Philippine languages, while some non-Tagalogs are abandoning their mother tongues for the perceived superiority of Tagalog and English. Most high schools don't offer any other languages subjects but a native or foreign beside English and Filipino. Considering the benefits of multilingualism, let us overcome our fixation in having 1 language and embrace the potential of having many. To take advantage of this potential, we must respect our mother tongues, treat them as equals, and involve them in national development plans. I hope you have learned something in this video. Bye!